I can see clearly now the rain has gone. Hello everybody, how are you? Here we are again, and I'm just stood in our garden right now, looking out over the border of France and Switzerland. Switzerland so near, yet so far right now in this lockdown. All the borders still shut. That's a funny old world, hey? You know, I just wanted to talk today about, it's a bit of a shift that I've had in my life over the last few years, particularly in the last few months, where we moved out to a house in the countryside, as you can probably hear. Something inside me really radically shifted. I've always been a friendly person, very sociable, someone who tried to go the extra mile to speak to people, to have relationships with people, or at least to make an effort with people. And it stopped. That desire that I used to have just evaporated pretty much, a couple of years ago, and even more so now, to the point where I just don't see the point of having pointless conversations. I don't see the point of speaking to someone if I know that the conversation is literally going to just be on that very surface level, no depth, no possibility to have any depth. And it makes me feel sometimes a bit unfriendly, and I think, especially because I live in a country where they don't speak my first language. And this has become even more prevalent in my life, because not only do I not want to have meaningless conversations, I don't feel a desire to make that extra effort with people who really I'm never going to see again, or people that I can see are not very spiritual at all. But also to then have that conversation in French, where I speak French, but it's a real effort to have a meaningless conversation, if you see what I mean. And I just looked at myself in the mirror the other day and I thought, am I rude? Have I become rude, or have I become one of those people that people think are a little bit unfriendly, frosty? And I'm not. But I guess at the same time, when someone comes and speaks to me and starts asking me questions about things I don't care about, things that are just so meaningless, about like TV program that I've never seen, or something that they've seen on the news that they think is really important that I really couldn't care about. I mean, I haven't watched the news properly for 10 years now. No, that's a lie. I haven't watched the news for 6 years. And it's probably the first time I watched it in 6 years was just when COVID-19 started to perk up a little bit, and we realised that it was getting serious and it was having a major global impact. And so I didn't watch it too much, but I glanced at the statistics and whatnot. But I just don't see the point of speaking to people when you know that the conversation can't go too deeply. And it's really changed my life. I'd be interested to know what you guys think about this, if you notice this in your spiritual journey, because one part of you is growing enormously and you have a bigger energy, you start to realize that what you give, you get back. And yet there's this kind of paradox when it comes to these very surface level conversations. I guess you'd call them serpent conversations. Of course, I'm not saying that I don't ignore, like, my wife's grandma or my wife's grandfather when we go out for a meal. Of course, I'm very polite in these situations. But I'm talking about situations where people, will just briefly come into your life at a party, or you just happen to be in the same room as, and they start talking, and I'm there thinking where I need to go next, the next book that I'm going to read, and, they ask you what book you're reading. If you said I'm reading like A New Earth or The Power of Now or the latest thing by Caroline Myss or Ram Dass, Here and Now, it's literally, they just would look at you as like, what? But what's that? So suddenly, about 90% of the conversations, maybe more, even more on the planet, you're like in a totally different bubble to. And so you can't really talk about real life. And so you almost feel like you're an outcast or an alien. And yet you know deep down that the stuff you're reading and watching and paying attention to in the world is the real hardcore stuff. But you don't want to appear arrogant to them by kind of preaching to them. So you just kind of switch off and just kind of try and end the conversation as quickly as possible. Yeah, it's really weird. It's really weird. But wanted to share it because I'd just really be interested to hear what you guys think about that. And if you've been in the same situation, or maybe you think I'm being rude, and if you do, then I'm totally open to that, and maybe I need to make more of an effort. But yeah, I mean, I always seem to refer to Alan Watts, but he said one time, "I no longer have the energy for meaningless friendships, forced interactions, or unnecessary conversations," and I feel exactly the same. And that's why the sacred pause is so beautiful, because suddenly we're all on the same wavelength, we're vibrating at the same level, and we're only interested in a conversation which is going to raise our vibration or stimulate a talk about the really big stuff. Anyway, I'm going to leave it at that. But thank you for listening. It's not really a drop of wisdom, it's more a question. A rhetorical question? No, a question, a real question. Are you guys literally in the same boat as me on this, or am I very rude? Answers on a postcard. Love you all. Take care. Bye for now.